On the Knight's Tale podcast, we've had some of the most incredible stories, and this one is no different. Today's guest uncovers his blueprint to building his business, the Populous Group, that's now generating more than $600 million in revenue. Bobby Herrera wasn't given anything, but he was able to obtain everything his heart desired after being led by a strong family bond and principles that now guide his incredibly successful entrepreneurial career. His book, The Gift of Struggle, is packed with an insane amount of life lessons, and honestly, any one of the stories from the book is so powerful they could bring a tear to your eye because in it, he talks about his childhood, his relationships with his family members, and some of the most difficult decisions he had to make in order to get to where he is today. The book teaches us that we all have leadership capabilities that we can tap into. And it also teaches us that the challenges we face can become the building blocks of our success. I'm really excited to share the conversation I had with the CEO of one of the largest employment firms in the world, retired U.S. Army veteran Bobby Herrera.
I'll tell the bus story, right? Robert, when I was 17, my brother and we were on a return trip home from a basketball game. And along the way, we stopped for dinner. Everybody unloaded off the bus except for me and my brother Ed. Well, a few moments after the team unloaded, one of the dads of the other players, he steps on board the bus. And as he's walking towards the back of the bus where Ed and I were sitting, he razzed me a little bit because Ed had outscored me that night. He was a much better hoop player than I was. And then he said something to me that I will always remember. Bobby, it would make me very happy if you would allow me to buy you boys dinner so that you can join the rest of the team. Nobody else has to know. All you have to do to thank me is do the same thing for another great kid just like you on this bus. And to this day, Robert, it's hard for me to explain that wave of gratitude and how I felt in that moment. I remember stepping off that bus, and outside of knowing that I wanted to raise my hand a year from then and join the Army, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just knew that I wanted my future to look different than my past. I'm one of 13 kids, and struggle had been the only consistent theme in my family story. And, although I had no idea what I was going to do, after that moment, I knew why. I would somehow, some way, figure out a way to create something that would allow me to pay forward that kind act to another kid like me who was born on the wrong side of the opportunity divide. So in other words, that moment, it gave me purpose, it gave me identity, it gave me something to believe in, and it helped me understand that, maybe someday my story will matter. And that moment, man, it became the invisible force that drove me. And so I tell you that story for a couple of reasons. I mean, I think it's packed with lessons and humility and kindness, et cetera. However, I believe that every single one of us, we have a bus story inside of us. We've at some point in time felt socially invisible. And if we look deep inside to one of those pillar moments, one of those marker moments in our life, there's a marker moment in our life where something gave us energy. It's given us something to believe in. And, focus on that moment, focus on the energy that gives you. And you do that, figure out why, you can do whatever the heck you want. And so often when I tell that story to kids and, veterans, et cetera, I'll ask them, hey, tell me the invisible force that drives you. And, take me back to the beginning. Take me back to one act of kindness that someone gave you that helped you see the world differently. And, often I'll get some pretty compelling stories and they'll be like, yeah, that's why, that moment's inside a lot of people. And that moment was inside of me. And there was nothing that was going to stop me from trying to figure out a way to pay forward that kind of act, Robert.